cool. Alrighty.
Oh, thank you. All right. Oh, great. From Flower Power. Hey there. My question is, how do you get producers to read your script? I don't have any money or connections. How do I approach this? Just try to get lucky?
That's a really good question. I'm still trying to figure that out. But the one thing that I have learned is like Hollywood is incredibly relational in the sense of like, because in theory, it's like, it's really bad. Like I used to always think like, okay, well, why does this writer make it and this one doesn't? Like, what's the difference? Why does this director not and why does this one not? And like, the reality is like, it's not fair. Like life is not fair, in Hollywood in particular is definitely not fair. And like, I don't mean that to knock it, but what I mean is like, basically I think when I began to realize that there are no rules, then it sort of opened up for me of like for instance, I literally heard this story, the other day. There was like, I know this producer friend who got a movie made literally because he knew like the stunt man that worked on the movie with that actor and he asked for him to pass the script over.
Wow.
And somehow, it seems like in theory that should not work, but somehow it worked. And so he was able to attach an actor to his script and boom, it got made, basically. It was like a horror film or something like that. But basically it's like there's no like way. It seems like in my limited experience, I've only been, I guess, out here total like 7 years, but 3 of that I was in film school. So it's only been about 4-ish years I've been trying to crack this thing called Hollywood. But I do know that like, you know, and I'm very introverted, so it's like difficult for me a lot of times to like get out and meet people. And so I've noticed though that when I start becoming more relational with people, things start to happen. I'm not saying that like that means like I'm gonna be writing on HBO next week, you know, but like just I've noticed that every single year I've been out here, I notice more things that make LA feel smaller, if that makes sense. So like for instance, the other day I was watching a commercial and I saw a friend that I knew on that commercial. And I was like, oh, I know him. I met him last year. That's him. He's on TV. And then the other day I was driving down the street and I saw a billboard and I was like, that's Billy. What's Billy doing? You know, and it's crazy. And every year that seems to happen a little bit more, just a little bit more. And I know that like just sustained effort over time should eventually equal breaking into Hollywood, whatever that is, you know what I mean? And so like, I think that, you know, I definitely don't have, you know, an answer to that, but just from my experience, I've noticed that things have started to happen for me by interfacing and hanging out with people who are like-minded, who you jive with, who like you feel like a connection with. Because I think a lot of times, you know, one of the pieces of advice a lot of people say is like, oh, you got to network, just network, you know. But networking inherently feels like not relational. It feels very sort of transactional, at least in my brain. And so for me, I've sort of tried to tip it to think like, okay, well, I'm just trying to find other like-minded people who I connect with, and then try to pursue that great feeling of putting a movie on the screen or telling a story or doing something, or, you know, and it's not just movies, it can be anything, any sort of story that moves people. Like if we can find a way to connect on that, then we can become allies and we can fight for each other and, you know, be in the trenches together. And that's been a really beautiful thing so far since I've sort of taken that approach. You know, like I said, I'm still super new at this whole pursuing filmmaking career stuff, but you know, I do know that I think if you just don't give up and just keep meeting people, connecting with people who you like and they like you back, eventually something is going to happen. Like they, I don't even remember what the quote is, but it's something along the lines of like, you know, the people that get lucky, it's like luck is opportunity meets like preparation, you know, like that's what luck is. And so like the more opportunities you have, the more people that you start to get to know, that know what you do and like what you do, eventually there will be an opportunity for you to be able to step up and do something, you know, and there will be long stretches of time where nothing happens and it feels like you're not making any progress. I literally just got out of a very long stretch of time where I felt that way, where I was just like, what am I doing out here? I want to move back home. I'm wasting my time. It's super expensive to live out here. This is awful. But like something twisted, something turned in my brain when I was like, you know what? I may not know anybody at these big studios that can just give me a movie, but I do know a lot of people out here that are on my level, or people, sorry, I shouldn't say level, but who are on their same like same progression in their journey. Sure. Mm-hmm. You know, I know all these people, and what I can do is I can just like connect with the ones that I feel get me and understand me. And you know, I've started that process maybe like 4 months ago, and like it's been amazing, like how many just opportunities have come from that, from just like, okay, well, I know this writer who was in my class. Let's just grab coffee and talk to each other and see how we might be able to help each other. And that's been phenomenal. Like, I mean, like you can get your script to people that way, you know? Another thing that I have a friend who ended up getting representation because like, she ended up meeting with her friends that were repped by a rep. Like any person who was repped by someone, they went and met with them and like basically felt it out, like, is this a good fit first? Like, do I feel like I connect with this person? If they did and everything seemed right, she'd be like, hey, it might be a huge ask, but like, would you take a look at my script? And not asking, hey, will you take a look and give it to your rep? Just like, hey, will you read it? And if you like it, could you maybe pass it on? If not, no harm, no foul. And they seem to be pretty successful doing it that way. But there's just so many different avenues, but there's really no one way. Hollywood seems to be the wild, wild west. And I think like, at least for me, that's what makes it intriguing. Of like, oh man, the next thing could come from anywhere, you know? But there's way more opportunity around us than I think sometimes we feel, you know? It's only just a matter of focus and attention. Like if you focus on the world being abundant instead of scarce, then suddenly the world becomes abundant. And I know it sounds really weird, but like I've noticed when I've made those conscious choices, things seem to happen.